These from the mouth, those from the mouth are the ones that managed to come out, and I could see them even when I was at the hospital. The doctors would ask for them, but I told them, "No, I don't want to be separated from any part of my body."
Today's situation is horrifying. Aloys, a 50-year-old man with 8 children and 1 wife, suffers from a severe mental illness. His head has turned into a source of blood and pus constantly flowing from his nose and mouth. His head has also swollen to the size of a very small infant. At one point, both of his jaws were removed, leaving him without a single tooth. Additionally, some bones in his legs have also broken off over time. In his daily life, he faces extreme difficulties. He cannot swallow properly due to the lack of teeth, which forces him to eat only soft foods or rely on his wife to mash food for him like one would for an infant. Welcome to the world of research. Welcome to the large family of Wisdom in Narrations.
The reason I refuse to discard parts of my body is that I didn't want them to bury my body while I am still alive. Even at the hospital, we argued about this until I was discharged. They wanted to throw them away, but I refused. For the first parts that came out of my cheek, I didn't even get to see them. They took them away. Then, for the second ones, they also wanted to throw them away. But I told them, "What if someone comes to visit me? What will I have to show them?"
His legs also developed a severe condition as the bones gradually came out piece by piece, making it difficult for him to stand properly or walk normally.
This illness affected me as an adult, but I had a chronic condition in my head since birth. It would swell severely. However, these issues with my bones and teeth began when I was already grown. My head is soft. If you press on it, you'll feel spaces inside. It hasn't fully solidified, and I am now 50 years old. The issues in my mouth were present since birth, but the problems with my head and legs appeared later in life. For example, my legs broke here like this, and part of the bone came out when I was a child, and it disappeared.
Aloys and his family live in a small family house where his relatives try their best to care for him, though some avoid him due to the smell caused by his condition. Despite their economic struggles, the family does everything possible to support him and ensure he lives decently.
This small piece broke off here and ended up over there. If you remove the flesh here, this part falls off on its own, and over here too, a part of the bone came out.
The family struggles to afford medication, and food is often insufficient. When Aloys first developed issues with his legs, he never went to the hospital.
I didn't go to the hospital back then. They kept me in the house and treated me with traditional Rwandan methods. When my leg broke, the bone split. They would apply herbs and bandages, but the bone eventually came out and disappeared.
Despite his challenging life, Aloys remains determined not to abandon parts of his body. He carefully keeps the jaws and teeth that were removed from him, refusing to let them go. For him, these body parts hold great value, reminding him that even though his life has been different from others, his body is unique and deserves respect. He insists on being buried with all his body parts intact, rather than being separated from them in death.
These issues with my mouth and head developed when I was already an adult. The first time I visited a hospital, I went all the way to Butare, but nothing worked. Eventually, my bones started coming out of my body. For instance, one of the bones broke here while I was in the hospital, and it disappeared completely. I never even saw it.
For Aloys, illness has not diminished his love for life. He enjoys sitting outside his house, gazing at the sky, watching the trees and birds fly overhead. On better days, he finds joy in watching local children play and sometimes lends a hand to his wife with small household tasks. Occasionally, he attempts to work in the fields, though it often leaves him in pain at night.
He tries so much. Sometimes when I'm not around, I find that he's picked up pieces of firewood or gathered small items around him, but still, he's always at risk. He has no real safety.
His life is a testament to resilience in the face of adversity. His family remains supportive, comforting him through difficult times and ensuring he doesn't feel abandoned. Despite the challenges of caring for him, they believe love is the most vital bond.
When I married him, his legs were already a problem and his head was visibly affected. His condition became evident in 2008. We tried all we could to get him treatment, but eventually we ran out of resources. There were people who helped us with insurance for a while, but even they stopped supporting us. Now we only take him to the hospital when we absolutely can. Otherwise, he stays home because we can't always afford to take him.
Tragically, all the bones in his legs have come out, leaving him in constant pain and unable to get up on his own if he falls.
When his bones started coming out, it was devastating. The experience was overwhelming, and some people distanced themselves from us. No one even visits our house anymore because of the bad smell.
Despite the hardships, Aloys has always treasured his teeth. Since the first day they began falling out, he has refused to part with them. For him, his teeth represent an essential part of his being, and he insists on keeping them as part of his identity. Rather than discard them, he has carefully stored them at home, vowing to be buried with all his body parts intact. Aloys fought hard to keep his teeth. He resisted doctors who tried to stop him from keeping them, enduring intense pain in the process. For him, his teeth symbolize the essence of his life, a piece of himself he refuses to let go of.
Many times I would sit somewhere feeling lonely. Even leaving him to sleep alone became normal because the problems were overwhelming. You see, he has wounds, his bones are shattered, and his cheeks are rotting, oozing pus and blood. The stench is unbearable, and you cannot even sit in the same house. No one can come close to where we stay, not even to give him a glass of water to drink.
Her family is also facing serious consequences. Their children are not in school due to a lack of financial means to pay for their education. However, the good news is that none of their children has faced a health issue similar to their father's.
We have been married for 30 years and have 8 children. None of them has been affected, but the consequences came later through poverty. Life became hard as the children were still young. None of them managed to finish school because we lacked the strength to support them. They dropped out of school while still young, and even having enough food has always been a challenge.
Since marrying her husband, she has never been in harmony with her family.
My family never accepted it. They didn't welcome the marriage, it caused issues, and they even tried to take me away. But I realized it wouldn't work because I felt my life had already reached its end point. Over time, the situation worsened, and I faced rejection. Now I no longer visit my family because some of the problems they blame me for are things I refuse to accept. They say we don't belong together, but I have no other option.
It's not easy caring for a sick person when you have no means. Despite trying her best, she says she is worn out, though she is not ready to abandon him.
When it comes to my relationship with my husband, his problems often wear me down. I feel helpless, lonely, and hopeless. Sometimes he becomes isolated as if he is living separately from us.
Aloys, despite his severe health issues, maintains his dignity. He tries to clean his body as much as he can, with the help of his wife, although it's not easy. He constantly discharges pus from his nose and saliva from his mouth. Doctors once sent him home to await death, diagnosing him with brain cancer and stating that he would never recover.
The benefit I see for myself is that my youngest child now knows that my body is rotting away. Secondly, as I look at myself, you can see fluids dripping from my nose or blood. What you see here is mucus coming out of my nose. These are the benefits to my body. When I talk to you and show you, it breaks your heart to see how my body is deteriorating. That is why I have decided not to bury my body until I die.
What's remarkable about Aloys is how much he loves his family. Despite being unable to do anything for them because of his disability, he spends his time thinking about the good things in life, even in such difficult circumstances.
I am 50 years old. My body began deteriorating when I was about 45 or 46. When I die, I want to be buried with my body as it is.
His wife witnessed the battles he faced at the hospital and the eventual end of the struggle when Aloys accepted his fate.
I was there. The doctors came to talk to me, explaining that he was close to death. They told me his illness had reached the brain and that it was brain cancer, which had completely damaged his brain. He showed signs of trauma, and some things he did were clear indications that his mind was not functioning well. The doctors approached me, spoke to me about the situation, and eventually asked us to go home and wait for his final day.
The story of Aloys teaches us that life's challenges should not lead to despair. Despite his severe illness, his strong heart and the love of his family help him keep going in the best way he can. His story is an example of how the human spirit can remain strong even when the body is heavily burdened. Unfortunately, many of his friends and relatives see his home as a cursed place, associating it with witchcraft. Most people have cut ties with him, avoiding his home altogether due to the strong odor from his condition. Aloys urgently needs significant medical assistance, possibly in countries with advanced burn treatment facilities. Any help you can provide, no matter how small, could change Aloys's life, relieving him from the constant pain. This is our chance to make a difference, to turn compassion into action, to show Aloys that he is not alone. With your help, we can provide the medical care, support, and love he so desperately needs. Join us in this mission. Your kindness can heal more than just bones. It can mend a broken spirit. Let's bring hope to Aloys and his family. Click the link below to donate or share his story. Together, we can transform his life. This is the end. Thanks for watching. I wish you better life, foods, and money. Stay in the Big Wins family.